Jacqueline Quinn, Deputy Director at dcrac. I'm here to help you with your housing, tax, or title problem, so give me a call anytime, and I'm happy to meet to see what we can do together.
My name is Joe Gross. I'm the Credit Clinic Director here at dcrac. I'm the one that would sit down with you, develop a budget, figure out a spending plan, pull your credit report, and see if there's any way we can improve that.
Hi, my name is Lillian Harrison, and I'm the Housing Director for dcrac. And as the Housing Director, I help people with foreclosure prevention, pre-purchase counseling, credit, and budgeting. And it's absolutely my pleasure to serve you.
Hi, my name is Anthony Doring. I'm Delaware's free tax attorney and the director at the dcrac Low Income Tax Clinic. If you receive a notice from the IRS, please give me a call as soon as possible so I can schedule you for a free consultation.
Hi, my name is Maricela Tovar Rangel, and I am responsible for doing the intake process here at dcrac. And I also manage the credit union, Stepping Stones Community Federal Credit Union, y también hablo español.
Hi, my name is Christian Tijerino. I work for dcrac as an outreach director. I enjoy working for community and local families.
Hi, my name is Howard Keener. I'm the Director of Strategic Projects and Community Affairs for dcrac. I work on human resources, internal policies and procedures, and community development, and also marketing for dcrac.
Jacqueline Quinn, Deputy Director at dcrac. I'm here to help you with your housing, tax, or title problem, so give me a call anytime, and I'm happy to meet to see what we can do together.
My name is Joe Gross. I'm the Credit Clinic Director here at dcrac. I'm the one that would sit down with you, develop a budget, figure out a spending plan, pull your credit report, and see if there's any way we can improve that.
Hi, my name is Lillian Harrison, and I'm the Housing Director for dcrac. And as the Housing Director, I help people with foreclosure prevention, pre-purchase counseling, credit, and budgeting. And it's absolutely my pleasure to serve you.
Hi, my name is Anthony Doring. I'm Delaware's free tax attorney and the director at the dcrac Low Income Tax Clinic. If you receive a notice from the IRS, please give me a call as soon as possible so I can schedule you for a free consultation.
Hi, my name is Maricela Tovar Rangel, and I am responsible for doing the intake process here at dcrac. And I also manage the credit union, Stepping Stones Community Federal Credit Union, y también hablo español.
Hi, my name is Cristian Tillerino. I work for dcrac as a outreach director. I enjoy working for community and local families.
Hi, my name's Howard Keener. I'm the Director of Strategic Projects and Community Affairs for DCRAC. I work on human resources, internal policies and procedures, and community development, and also marketing for DCRAC.
Hello, Delaware. How are you? I'm Rashmi Rangan, and this is an unusual hour that I will spend with you. So, for those of you who are joining me for the first time, welcome. I'll be talking all about money. But unlike usually when I am talking about money alone, today you have this delight. We're going to talk about money through magic with Mark the Magician. Welcome back, Mark.
Thank you, Rashmi. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. So we're going to talk about basic financial ideas.
Yes.
All right. Before we get in there, tell us a little about you, Mark.
Yeah. Well, my name is Mark Randolph. I am a mortgage loan officer as profession. I do teach real estate math as well, and I also do magic as well.
Yes.
So I've been doing it for 25 years.
Yes.
The mortgage side, I've been doing magic actually for 40 years. Can you believe that?
I can.
Yeah.
Yes, because you're very, very good.
Well, thank
and,
you.
and the two of us have taught money management, about credit,
Yes.
about basic banking, basic savings, for many opportunities we've had to teach.
I am very grateful to have been able to do many seminars with you and through the various organizations we had, dcrac and all the housing counselors.
Right.
Delaware, what a lot of people don't realize, is one of the best states, in my opinion, in terms of money, in terms of home ownership. We have one of the higher home ownership rates. It's just fantastic. We have things where we have the Delaware Financial Literacy. It's nonprofit, and people can go and listen to financial professionals to learn anything from credit to retirement to mortgages to anything that they would like. And this is all available here in Delaware, and it's just tremendous. And Rashmi, you're key to a lot of that movement that we've had over the last few years. So I don't know if you realize, the viewers realize what a terrific individual you are. You started dcrac, you started the credit union.
I wish I'd take claim for starting dcrac, but I've been involved
Well,
with dcrac practically since it started. So it was started in 1987 by Jim Sills, visionary, amazing guy. Later on, led the city of Wilmington as its first African American mayor. I was not even in the United States in '87. I was thinking about coming here. So '88, September 21st, 1988 is when my plane landed. And I, like I say, off the boat, and of all places in America I could have come, Newark, Delaware, I landed.
Here you are.
Yeah, and I've been here ever since. So my American life is 30 plus years old now.
Wow.
But it's still 1 year younger than dcrac life. So I can't even lie about having started.
Darn.
But darn,
We were close.
we were very close. But really, the Community Reinvestment Act, in all its 41 years, has been a tremendous impetus to leveling the playing field. Yet, what is shocking, and I have this Prosperity Now glass, but I attended a training recently, and I've been involved in this where we are tired of waiting for prosperity. We want prosperity for us now.
Yeah.
And something that shocks me but doesn't surprise me is that it doesn't matter that you have zero income. Depending upon your race, you could start out with wealth or negative wealth. So, for a Caucasian, zero income, they are still on an average $4,000 in asset wealth. Zero income African Americans, zero income Latinos have zero to negative wealth.
Yeah.
And we know in our industry, wealth begins with home ownership.
Absolutely.
You know. So, and now after emerging from this financial crisis, we are kind of shy about getting into this 30-year-long till death do us part relationship. And I get upset, I get angry that our home ownership rates or rather the gap in home ownership is wider today between African Americans and Caucasians than it was in the Jim Crow era.
Right.
What can we do to change that? Because really, it's up to us.
What an outstanding question and a very difficult question. What can we do to change the disparity between the African Americans and the Caucasian population in terms of housing? And that has been a question that we've received for many, many years. I had the pleasure of being one of the speakers with Tom Carper and Fannie Mae and the housing counselors, and we went to what is called faith-based initiative, where we went to churches that had a higher population of African Americans, Hispanic, the minorities. And the idea behind it was to go to those communities and give them the tools and the information that they hopefully can increase the home ownership. And we did it for quite a number of years, and it was great. That was one question when we were getting together with the housing counselors and everything. We talked about that. One of the frustrating things that the housing counselors pointed out is that a lot of the women came out, but not the men. And how can we get the men out there? And it is a community effort. It has to be an effort from the banks, has to be an effort from myself, like the lenders, has to be an effort with dcrac and the things that the housing counselors and you do. And it's a constant battle. Unfortunately, with the mortgage crisis, as you mentioned, Rashmi, it has caused the disparity, a gap once again. Part of that is the tightening of the mortgage financing guidelines. They tightened up on how much credit the credit scores and the credit history and things like that. They tightened up on what they call the debt to income. It was necessary because it went wild. People could get, they could just tell me what the income was.
So long as had a pulse and they got a loan.
Have a pulse.
Yes. Yeah.
And here's something kind of interesting. In 2000 to 2006, when the crisis was just heating up, the number one question I would get from clients would be, how high can I buy? What do you mean, how high can you buy? And then I would say, you can only buy up to 250 or 275. And they would come back to me and say, found the home I want for 300,000. Well, wait a minute, that's not what I wanted. And they literally said to me, if you can't get that mortgage, Mark, there's a lender down the street who will. And so that created this frenzy that was part of the mortgage crisis as we know.
So assume that we as a community have learned certain lessons from this crisis. And one lesson from this crisis is to cut your coat according to the cloth, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things, of course, we need to know and learn about, this is all that I can borrow if I want to be a homeowner, regardless of who tells me I can borrow more. I remember when I was going around my first home, when I wanted to buy, I had told everyone, my realtor, my lender, not a dime more than $80,000, period. I don't care. You can qualify me for 100,000. 80,000 max is what I'm going to borrow, period.
Right.
Do not show me a house for 81,000. Obviously, when my limit was 80,000, if somebody had shown me a $150,000 home, of course the $150,000 home was so much more beautiful than an $80,000 home. And it's easy. I can see how easy it is to be influenced, unless you're absolutely like tunnel visioned and you've got blinders and say, my counselor, the people I trust has told me I cannot borrow more than this. I'm not even looking at a home more than that.
And unfortunately, once you start looking at 200,000, when you say, oh, no, you can handle 150, well, 100, that $50,000 difference is too almost tempting. The biggest problem that we have is that we're human beings. And a lot of times when we buy something because of emotional wants and needs as opposed to the actual numbers or the financial wants and needs. Now, what I find interesting in my business here, the most common question I've had in the last 10 years was not how high I can buy, but I don't want to pay more than $1,400 a month. What will that get me? And so sometimes you have to have a crisis for the general population to have that kind of attitude or kind of that thought. I'm actually seeing a little bit of a shift the other way now, where I'm starting to hear people say, okay, I don't want to pay more than this, but what do I need to do to get that kind of home? So I start to see loosening up. Now, do you mind if I go back to your original thought where you said the disparity between the Caucasians and the African Americans? If you think from an African American side, and obviously I'm not, but it is my job as somebody from the Caucasian race to try to understand as much as I can what it's like to be a minority and what it's like what they go through. And if you stop and think about it, the minority class, and especially the African Americans, but the Hispanics, the American Indians, the Latinos, the Asians, yeah, absolutely. They have been pushed so far down throughout centuries of histories in the United States, where especially the African Americans, literally their families were ripped apart. Literally, they were forced in such a way to distrust the American system, distrust those who are in power, because literally those who were in power beat them or pushed them aside, didn't allow them to have education. And as much as we want to say, okay, well, that's history, yeah, but generations pass things down all along. And if you're growing up in that family, they're talking about their grandfather or their great-grandfather or their great-grandfather. This is what happened to them. We don't know who your great-great-grandfather is because we know that they came from this country, but we don't know where they went to or who owned them or whatever. And so there's a fracture that's there that still permeates here today. And if you sit there and think, oh no, and you hear the news, oh no, mortgage companies are tightening up on lending, and they're tightening up on how much money you have to put down and things like that. And if you don't feel 100% comfortable where you are currently, how are you going to feel comfortable to cross the line and say, okay, I heard in the news that you have to have better credit. Then you can almost see my body language go, I don't even want to talk to that person because they're just going to say no and I'm back to where I was. And unfortunately, we have that thought, we have that part that's permeating it underneath the whole culture. And I think what we have to do is just try to keep pushing the message out there. There are so many different programs out there. And it's getting a little better. For example, the state of Delaware, the first-time homebuyer program, they had a minimum score of 640. Today, it's 620. So we see loosening ups throughout the industry of how much you can qualify, what kind of programs there are, that sort of thing. And the worst thing that I can tell you is this is what you need to do to get where you want to go. And that's where we can do a path. A proper pre-approval, a proper mortgage person or financial planner will not say no. They will say, this is what you need to do to get here and give you the path to follow. And that, I think, we have to keep pushing and get out there.
So let's assume that I am thinking about home ownership because I've heard us talk about it today, but I know that it's probably going to be 2 years, 3 years before I am ready. I've got all my ducks in a row to become a homeowner. My first question to you, Mark, is do you have that kind of time and patience to invest in me? Will you be with me for 3 years until I am ready to become a homeowner?
For you, Rashmi, absolutely.
All right, so that's the first question. Because what I want is, I don't want anyone, if you're thinking about home ownership, you weren't even thinking about home ownership. But why not sit down with Mark or with me and say, okay, here is where I am. What is it I need to do? And when can I get to where I think you need to be? So, I mean, anyone right now is paying a rent, and rents always go up. With rent, there is no certainty that for the next 30 years it will stay the same, right? At least with mortgage, there is the certainty for the next 30 years. If the rate is fixed, payments are going to go up marginally if the taxes have gone up or insurance goes up, but principal and interest portion stays the same.
Right.
So, I mean, you lock into a 30-year fixed dollar amount for a roof over your head, unless you do something stupid, right?
Absolutely.
So,
and you brought out an outstanding point. A lot of folks are out there and they talk about the long-term view of a business. And, you know, we kind of talked about, well, if I'm not ready, can you work with me for 30 years, or not 30 years, 3 years to get you into a 30-year mortgage? Hopefully, a person is sharp enough that if they're talking to them over the phone or whatever, and they get very short answers because all of a sudden their credit scores were 580 or 570. They say, well, you can't really afford now, you got to work on your credit and good luck. That is the kind of profession that has such a short-term view of things. Now, what you want is somebody who thinks long-term, because if, let's take you for an example. If I work with you and say, okay, this is what you need to do. You got to get this much money. You got to save here. Maybe you can get it from a gift. Maybe you can do this. This is what you need to do for credit. There's a Stand By Me here in Delaware. It's just a nonprofit, fantastic organization that helps build credit. I can maybe connect you with someone like that. Now I'm thinking long term. I'm thinking, what can I do to get you where you need to go? And if I'm thinking long term, actually, I get more business in the long run, because those who are short run, oh no, you can't afford right now, let's go to the next one next, you know. that's not going to work. Now, if I get somebody and they work with me for 1, 2, 3 years and then they buy a home, and those who tend to be very loyal to me and to you and to the others are the ones that understood that I did take the time. And all of a sudden I get referrals from all kinds of connections that they have saying, oh, Mark takes your time, da, da, da. So you do want to look for a lender or person who will take the time. The housing counselors in the state of Delaware are fantastic. If you go to DE State Housing, that's DE for Delaware, statehousing.com. That is the Delaware State Housing Authority programs or first-time home buyers tax credit. And in there they have a list of mortgage lenders that have a lot of this philosophy that they're in here for the first-time home buyers. They're in here to help those to get a home and stuff like that. So that's a very good list to go.
Absolutely. So while we'll talk about borrowing money to become a homeowner, concepts are the same that apply for borrowing money to buy a car, borrowing money for anything.
Correct.
Right? All right. So I'm looking at first things first over here. Get your house in order. So how do I get my messy home in order to organize my financial life?
Right. No, that you're correct. You transition from how do I get my messy house in order. I was actually talking about the financial house. It is,
Right.
you know, it's very difficult to sometimes get things in order. And when first things first, you got to take a look at where you are. What are your expenses? What is your income? What is your potential of income? What is your potential of deleting expenses or doing things? If you feel overwhelmed and you just look at it and go, oh, you know, I bring home $3,000 a month and I'm barely, you know, just my expenses with rent and electric and phone and everything like that, I'm close to $3,000 a month. I don't have any money to spend, you know, for clothing or for savings or something like that. And unfortunately, that is the case. A lot of people who do find themselves in that situation. You have housing counselors here. You have, no, I would help you as well. I'm not a financial counselor. I'm not a housing counselor, but I am trained to take a look at someone's credit report, to look at their debt, look at their income, and say, okay, maybe we can do this, maybe we can do that. There are different strategies to start to get debt free. So if you have like 5 or 6 pieces of credit cards and car loans, who do you pay off first? What do you pay off second? And so what we need to do is take a look at where you are, get that in order, figure, okay, let's pay this first, let's pay that first. This is going to sound kind of crazy. Sometimes ignoring a collection or two, if it already went to collection, if it already is hurting you, it's going to, if it causes you more financial strain to say, all right, you collection, I'm going to pay $200 a month, maybe just let that lie until you're ready to handle it as opposed to handling it right away. Because if you promise that person $200,000, they've already hurt your credit because they're a collection, you're going to hurt yourself financially that if you don't have the money for the other things that you have to do or try to reestablish credit and get things going. So find out exactly where you are, talk to the housing counselors, you can talk to, there are many wonderful loan officers and mortgage professionals in the area, obviously yourself and dcrac, just a lot of help out there. Don't be shy, ask somebody, and if they don't know, ask somebody else again.
Absolutely. Think up a magic trick to get that message home. So, reiterating, really, when it comes to your dreams, don't let anyone tell you what you can and can't dream. Don't settle for what the world says is the new normal. Because after the crisis, I heard everybody says, this is the new normal. You got to have an awesome credit score. You got to have an awesome savings. There's got to be this 20% down, qualified QRMs, residential mortgages. And no, we shouldn't. We should at all points in our lives prepare so that when the time is right, we can strike. So, preparation is what we have control over. Everything else out there, we have no control over. So what does preparation take? Looking at where we are, planning how to get where we want to be, and it's only the timing that may depend on other circumstances, right? So Mark talked about looking at your income, looking at what's going on with your expenses, and if you're overwhelmed, pick up the phone, go to a housing counselor and have them work through strategies with you. Look at your credit report, and in the credit report, figure out a strategy, because nobody plans to fail, right? We all plan for success, and we know what success looks like. Sometimes we don't know what the right plan is all gonna be. That is where professionals are so useful. And these services in our great state are available at no cost or very low cost. So Mark, I see you got, hey,
Yes.
all right.
Would you mind helping me out here, a pair of scissors?
All right.
And
I got to cut that.
you get to cut this string.
Awesome. I should
ahead.
have brought my granddaughters here.
Yes, you could have.
They love magic.
Okay, I still need your the pair of scissors.
Okay.
So we're going to tie this into a circle.
Okay.
All right.
And okay, what does that circle represent?
Well, sometimes things look impossible, but it really isn't as impossible as it looks. Go ahead and
Are you
cut it
sure?
again. Yeah, I'm positive.
For me, sometimes things look so impossible.
No, sometimes it is not as impossible as it seems. So watch.
All right.
Watch.
Okay. Oh, that is not possible. You're not gonna join that string. Yes, you did.
You want to keep it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Holy moly! I'm going to
Yep.
check it out to see what magic there was. So, it's okay. I feel like my finances are so broken. There is no help at all.
Well, if I can do that to a piece of string, maybe we can help someone understand where they're going.
Yeah, I'll buy that. Yes. All right. That was interesting. So really, even if you think everything is broken, see, you can fix it.
You can fix it.
Things are fixable. Things are fixable. So, I see in your presentations, you talk about the savings account.
Yeah.
So before I ask you to talk about the savings account, let me introduce you, if you have not, to Stepping Stones Community Federal Credit Union. For those of you who aren't familiar, and I hope there are only one or two of you who are not familiar by now, but in 2011, during the midst of the crisis where banks and credit unions were failing left, right, and center, we miraculously obtained a charter. So the National Credit Union Administration said to us, all right, go on and make access to banking available to those that live, work, worship, and study in the city of Wilmington. So we started with purely what the banking world says, savings account, what the credit union world says, share account. Why does the credit union world say share account? Because you are a part owner of the credit union when you are a member. At any credit union you're a member, you're never just a customer. So in the wealth that the credit union builds, you have a share in that wealth. It doesn't matter whether you have $5 in deposit or whether you have $250,000 in deposit at the credit union. Your share of the wealth as a percentage is the same. So, and in the credit union world, it's dividends you earn. In the banking world, it's interest you earn. So we started this credit union share account is the account that we still offer. Over the years, we added a few things. So we added direct deposit. It's free. If you have your benefits check your paycheck. It can come straight into your account. And then we have ATM cards that is surcharge free at Wawa's, Royal Farms, several WSFS ATMs, and now all Fulton Bank ATMs. So you have access to your cash. What we are working on is a debit card so you can pay bills. Hopefully that will come within 6 months. But we have these services that are available to you in your own credit union that is regulated by NCUA, and your deposits are insured by the NCUA. So savings accounts, you have it available at Stepping Stones Community Federal Credit Union. You can talk
Excellent.
about savings accounts.
Let's talk about
now.
savings
Yeah.
accounts.
I want your money.
So savings accounts, I've been thinking a lot about that when I was doing a lot of mortgage seminars and when I talked to a lot of my clients and things like that. What is a savings account? And the one thing that I thought about and what I noticed is that when you get a statement from a savings account, let's say you have $4,000 in that statement, in that savings account. A lot of people think, oh, wow, I have $4,000. And I don't know that it's possible. We're going to try this. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, we can move on. Is it possible to zoom into that? All right. Well, I'm going to talk while they're working on zooming in.
Yes.
A savings account, what it does is you have the balance, and they show the balance of $4,000, and then the deposit and whatever interest you would have, and so they're showing you the balance of where you are. And in this example, I have $4,000, and that is what the savings account looks like. But is that really real? Is that what you really have? Do you have $4,000 in that savings account? Rashmi, do you have $4,000? Not
looks
really.
like it, but not really.
All right, we're going to flip examples here. And what really should happen, and you might be able to see this, that you do have a balance of $4,000, but in that $4,000, you're going to have car repairs, you're going to have home repairs, you're going to have vacation, birthdays, holidays, insurance, future stuff, miscellaneous. All these things are going to happen to you because you are a human being living in this world. And the problem is, because we're human, that $4,000 is already earmarked. It's already gone. So what should happen is, if you get a statement from Stepping Stone, your Stepping Stone should say, this much is set aside for car repairs. This much is set aside for home repairs. This is set aside for holidays and whatever.
At Stepping Stones, you have club accounts. So we have a vacation club. So money you want to save for vacation is set aside over there. We have holiday club. Money you want to save for vacations, no, for Christmas shopping is set aside over there. So we do, and we have Club 1376 for the 52-week savings challenge. So, yep, that is how. You're absolutely right.
Right.
Your savings are designated for future expenses.
Exactly, and that is wonderful. That's something that a lot of the banks have gotten away from. They don't do the Christmas clubs. They don't do the vacation savings. For you to do something separate from savings and things like that, you have to open up literally another savings account or a CD or something like that. And now the onus is on the person. And I like that idea because it now puts it aside. One of the problems we have as a human being is, if I see $2,000 in my checking account, guess what I think I can spend?
$2,000.
Yeah, I think I
Right.
can spend $2,000
Right.
because it's in a checking account. If I see the savings account, I go, oh, no, I'm okay because I have $4,000 in the savings account. But you're not. You're not okay, because if something happens, where are you going to go to get that money? You are sitting on the side of the road with 2 flat tires, and now you need $300 for the 2 tires and towing. Even if you have AAA, if you have to pay $10 for towing, that's $10, and then you have to pay whatever you need to do on that. I'm a big believer in AAA. It's helped me and my family quite a bit over my years. But it doesn't erase the fact that you now have to pay for the tires. You now have to pay maybe for a rental or for somebody to help you get from point A to point B until the tires are fixed. And if you're living off of that checking account, where are you going to come up with the money to make yourself safe? That's where the savings account comes into play. The savings account, now this is Mark Randolph's view. The savings account, the first savings account is really very closely connected to the checking account. It is your first line of defense, but it's not defense in terms of saving you from a financial failure. It is saving you from the day-to-day ebb and flow of finances. So, there are times where that $1,000, $2,000, or even $500 in the checking account is enough, but then there are times it's not, and where are you going to come up with the money? And I'm not worried, when I talk to my clients, I'm not worried if they can maintain the $4,000 or the $2,000. What I'm worried about is if they pull $500 out, are they working to put that money back into the savings account? Which comes down to, okay, when you get a paycheck, how do you split up your money? And here's the problem that most folks have. Is it okay I get into that?
Please.
Okay. The number one problem that most people have is they get the paycheck and immediately they pay their bills. They gotta pay the rent or the car or the credit cards or electric or whatever the case may be. And then a lot of times they start to filter into what they need for the family. They pay for the clothing for someone's birthday or various things like that. And when they're done, if there's anything left, they put money in savings. Actually, you should think opposite. Those who've created wealth, the very first thing they do is they put money in savings. It doesn't matter how much or how little, $50, $100, every time you get that, get it out. Get it out. And then what's left in the checking account, yes, then pay the bills, then get the sneakers for the kids, then do whatever you need to do. But get that savings out and pay that first. And if you think of savings as a debt that you have to pay, it now takes on a different view, a different feel. And then I think that ideally you should go to another savings account. It could be a money market, could be a CD, because what I want to do is if I see my checking account, I know that's what I can spend. If I'm now short, I pull from the savings account and I'm okay. That's the ebb and flow going back and forth between the savings account and the checking account. It is that second checking account is really where you start to build up a better defense. And that's the one I don't want to know if I have a balance. So I have $200, don't tell me. If I have $2,000, don't tell me. If I lose my job and I have $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, that's going to save me for 1, 2, 3, 4 months until I do find a job. That is what I call your true first level of defense. The savings account is really a mirage level defense because you're going back and forth. And I don't think the common financial planning out there it thinks along those lines. But I think it's very important to think that way and to set things up. I have had customers where I've refinanced them and let's say they're saving $200, $300, $400 a month. And they sit there and they say, okay, Mark, I'm now going to save $300 a month. What stocks should I buy? Wait a minute. Let's first talk about increasing your savings account, and then let's work our way up before we get to there. And when I heard customers talk to me, that's when I started thinking about, what is a savings account? What is a checking account? What are the different steps? The CD is not, yes, you do want some interest rates, but that is all backing to protect my ability to save money to help the various family members and myself and everything like that. And you don't really want to talk about stocks or anything until you do have some built up, and now you can talk about stocks and so on and so forth. Now, there is one exception in my opinion. 403Bs, 401Ks, those are fantastic vehicles. If you work for somebody and they have that option, definitely go after that option. And the reason why I say it is an exception, 403Ks and 401Bs, 401B is like a government loan. It's a 403K, but that's where nonprofit organization or government companies, government employers will use a 401B as opposed to a 403K.
401.
Yeah, I'm mixing my
K
numbers
and
up.
403.
Yeah,
Yes.
but these are wonderful. And what they do is they split it up where you have CDs in there, you have stocks in there, you have real estate, you have utilities, you have all kinds of savings. And that's why it tends to build and build and build. And those who just hold on to it, all of a sudden they have several $1,000s several years later. So I'm a big believer in that.
So by the way, Mark and I did not talk about it before, but every time I talk about budgeting, planning, and tell you my story, what do I say? You know, when I was growing up, I used to watch how my mom managed money. My dad used to come home on the first of the month, and my dad would give my mom his entire pay cash. And my mom would skim from the top. Then whatever was remaining, she would pay all the bills, and then with the pile that was remaining, she would make 5 piles with that, and that was for each week. And I watched and watched and watched, and I said, "What are you doing, Mom?" And she said, "Well, I'm paying myself first, because when your dad retires, he is getting 0 pension. I have to save for, hopefully I'll still be alive, and I want to enjoy life. So that's the money for that." Of course, bills I knew. When you make a bill, you have to pay the bills. And then with the money that was left, why was it that we were dividing in 5 piles? And my mom said, for every week. I said, I thought there were only 4 weeks in a month. She said, yeah, but there are 2 months when there are 5 weeks. And then the rest of the times, I can save that to plan to buy something. I grew up where we didn't have credit. So my mom, if she wanted to buy a refrigerator, she had to have the full down payment to buy the refrigerator. Forget the fridge. Even for a home, my mom had to put 100% down. So every time she saved for the home, the price of the house would go up, and she would have to continue adding savings. Right. So she was able to buy after all of us kids left the home, and she could finally save for herself, and we didn't eat all her savings. But so I learned the importance of paying yourself first. And that is one of the things it wasn't something my mom sat and taught me, but it's something I learned. So when I came to the US, and you all know when I started my life here, we were getting minimum wage, $3.75 an hour. And we could work only 20 hours a week. What we were bringing home wasn't even enough to pay my rent. So I learned very quickly I had to find cheaper rental, and hopefully somebody else would share the rental, so our costs would be reduced. At that time, I had kept a shoebox into which every single paycheck, I used to put a big little sheet of paper which said, I owe me, that 10%, the tithe, I owed me. I knew my situation won't always be hand to mouth, right, that I will be better one day. And when I got better one day, I was the worst predatory lender. I charged me 1,000% APR. I said, gosh, I have all that lost time to catch up. Right. So all my entire paycheck I would put away, and CDs were wonderful because the times were great. I was getting 13% interest on a 1-year CD. So my paycheck, I would round it up and put that in a 1-year CD.
Wow.
And yeah. But that's how you've got to basically live poor and absolutely love it for a little while to get to your dreams and goals that you aspire to.
Yeah, and I love that you said you were the worst predatory lender to yourself.
Oh, yes.
And that's what we were talking about, is that when you start to think about savings is not, oh, it's something extra or special. Rashmi, you were charging yourself.
Of course.
And that's why you said that you were the worst lender to yourself, because you charged as much as you could against you. And that's really the best way of doing it. We have a interesting problem in the United States that has evolved over the last few decades. It's because we're living longer. And the other problem is that when there used to be a viable Sears, I know Sears is not gone, but a lot of the stores have closed, and I know Singer was in the top 100 companies, and you had a lot of companies that literally paid pensions.
Yes.
And so when you were at 55 and you retired, or 60 and you retired, you were given a pension. And a lot of those companies stopped doing that because now we weren't dying at 55, 60, 65. We were dying at 70, 75 and longer. And if you are a healthy adult at the age of 40, the statistics of the longevity goes higher than the other way. So although our average age is, 76, 77, somewhere around there, dropped a little bit because of the obesity problem. But if you make it to certain stages in your life expectancy goes even higher. The problem is, as your mom pointed out, and as you pointed out, is if I'm going to be living longer, that money that I'm saving now is not going to go anywhere. And this is where we talked about the savings. What is earmarked? That $4,000, part of that is for the rent, part or car repairs or something like that. Now think about your retirement. You have minimal or no income coming in retirement. That money you have in the 401k or 403b, that money that you have in there is already earmarked. So much is for what's left of the mortgage payment or the taxes on your home or the rent. So much is already spoken for. It is already gone. It's not extra money. And how long should it last? When you retire at, let's say, 65 or even 70, you could be living 10, 15, 20, 25 years, and you could actually have a full life in your 70s, 80s, and beyond. And so now what are you going to do? If you don't have the ability or don't want to work, you don't have many choices. But you do have a choice when you're making money now. Where am I going to put it? Did I open a 401k? Did I open an IRA or a Roth IRA or something like that? Because that money that you open up is already spoken for the future.
Do you have a magic up your sleeve?
Yeah, I do.
You do? All right. All right. I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
Should I cut that dollar bill?
Well, we're going to do something with this dollar bill.
All right.
So, and we're going to have a little piece of paper here.
All right.
And what we're going to do is we're going to put it's a little Post-it note.
Okay.
We're going to put it here.
All right.
And what we're going to do is we're going to take this pen here, and we're going to stick it right in. Now I've got it here. You see that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Rashmi,
Yes.
are you brave enough to push that pen through?
You know what? Yes, I am, because I know the dollar bill
Go ahead.
is. I did.
Oh.
It will still circulate even though I ripped it apart.
All right.
All right.
Well, this is what you did, Rashmi. You did rip the hole through here. You did a great job. Thank you.
How did you do that?
You did it, my friend.
Okay, so what does that mean?
What that means is that
I could make a little mistake.
you can make a little mistake. The dollar is much more resilient than what you think. There's a lot to it. You can make dollars last much longer. There's a lot to money than what you see on the surface.
That is so true. That is so true. And I'm told, gosh, I've been having so much fun. We have only a few minutes left.
Oh, quick.
So, quick. We won't talk about interest rates. They are so low right now. But people do not like the word budget. They don't like any time we talk about financial wealth building aspirations. The presumption is, my God, I'll have to change my lifestyle completely. So I know that is not the case.
Right.
So you have a different way of talking about.
Right. Now think about what we talked about just a few minutes ago, that what you really should do is when you get a paycheck, and with automatic deposits, it makes it really easy. For those who are not in automatic deposit, you're going to have to take that extra step and put it in savings. So if you reverse your thinking and you put something in savings over and over and over again, then you're now not in a budget, but you're in a spending plan that you get to spend what's in the checking account because you've already put money in the savings. You already put money in maybe a CD or a little bit in the 401k. And don't worry if it takes months or years. It does take months and years. This is not a race. It's not a sprint. This is a marathon. We're here doing what we need to do in life for a long, long time, so we can't worry about that.
So, Mark, if somebody, I hope one of you wants to pick up the phone and call Mark and say, all right, Mark, I'm convinced that in the very near future, I will be a homeowner. How do they connect with you?
You can connect with me, and I believe it was on the screen as well. My number is 302-377-6498. You can text me, you can call me, make an appointment. We can do it by the internet, where I can send you an online link, or we can meet in person. I have no problems meeting anybody in person and try to help them out. More than happy to do that.
Thank you so much. And I hope you really enjoyed our conversation. Mark, thank you so much for always being available.
My
I know
pleasure.
it's a Sunday, it's an hour at the very least, and you prepare so beautifully for this conversation. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, because we are at a different hour normally, we are on the first Sunday of every month from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. And I really talk about all our 4 programs, talk about the advocacy that we are in, the advocacy we have been doing, and why we are advocating for equity, equality, and prosperity now. We talk about the services that we offer, how our credit clinic can help you, what our foreclosure prevention work is all about, what our title project is, and what our tax clinic does, which is not prepare taxes, but if you are in trouble with Uncle Sam, we represent you all the way into tax court. So with that, I'll see you first Monday of the next month. Thank you so much for your time.
Quinn, Deputy Director at DCRAC. I'm here to help you with your housing, tax, or title problem, so give me a call anytime, and I'm happy to meet to see what we can do together.
My name is Joe Gross. I'm the Credit Clinic Director here at DCRAC. I'm the one that would sit down with you, develop a budget, figure out a spending plan, pull your credit report, and see if there's any way we can improve that.
Hi, my name is Lillian Harrison, and I'm the Housing Director for DCRAC. And as the Housing Director, I help people with foreclosure prevention, pre-purchase counseling, credit, and budgeting. And it's absolutely my pleasure to serve you.
Hi, my name is Anthony Doring. I'm Delaware's free tax attorney and the director at the DCRAC Low Income Tax Clinic. If you receive a notice from the IRS, please give me a call as soon as possible so I can schedule for a free consultation.
Hi, my name is Maricela Tovar Rangel, and I am responsible for doing the intake process here at DCRAC. And I also manage the credit union, Stepping Stones Community Federal Credit Union, y también hablo español.
Hi, my name is Cristian Tillerino. I work for dcrac as an outreach director. I enjoy working for community and local families.
Hi, my name's Howard Keener. I'm the Director of Strategic Projects and Community Affairs for DCRAC. I work on human resources, internal policies and procedures, and community development, and also marketing for DCRAC.